it's Guido coming at you with a tactics talk. Welcome back, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. Appreciate your support of the channel as always. If you like what you see, give me a subscribe. If you don't, I don't know. Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Today, Dan Force, Clan Panic, in his American T78 Tier 6 TD. This is a really fun TD. It's kind of in between. I think it's the Jackson and the Hellcat. So it's got some speed, unlike the Jackson, like the Hellcat, but not quite as good as the Hellcat. And it's got some armor, kind of like the Jackson, and unlike the Hellcat. It's kind of in between. T78, nice little punchy gun on it, 240 Alpha, I believe. He's running an IA, a rammer, and some optics. 30 standard rounds, 15 gold, 2 heat, and a couple small kits, and a fire extinguisher. We are on Himmel's Provincedorf. One of the reasons I like doing a lot of these replays, especially from other people, is I can kind of see how other people get around it and do things and play the game. And this looks like he's got Chuck in here, actually. So Chuck is the commander. This is going to come right down to the wire. You'll notice he sits up here and he's looking for the sniperino shots. Not something I do, but turns out to be fairly effective. Watching as a bunch of people pile over there, and you're looking for the guys who are foolish enough to shoot, and maybe they're too close to the bush, or maybe there's a spotter close enough. As the T20 comes in there, he may proxy light someone like that, potentially, or maybe even somebody just got a direct view on him. So you're looking for these kind of shots. You do have to be careful in this position, and all the positions along the edge here on Province. If you look at the circle, so here he is over here, his little arrow. If somebody is on these edges here, in these bushes along this general area, and they've got good spotting, he's so close to this bush he could get seen. Now he's going to take return fire from the sniperinos on the other side. So far so good, not spotted. Just understand that that's possible, and actually somebody will pay the price a little while later in this match for that exact same thing. Fairly standard. There's a few guys pushing across. There's some pushing down to the southeast. You can see the M6 go to T25. Looks like they're trying to take the position by going up and around the corner before the enemy team gets there. And the CS-44 kind of catches them out and starts punishing them over there. A lot of blind shots into the known bushes. That could have been a hit. It's hard to tell if it hit something behind it with the bush right there. But anytime you don't see a splash, possibility it hit something. That was not a hit. It hit the ground. You saw the debris kick up. Their Type 64 crashes, I assume trying to get away, because I don't know why, but he wanted to go up and around that corner, and he got pushed by multiple people. The O1 is moving across, and pretty quickly the Churchill will do the same, and this is why you got to watch out on this map when you cross open areas and you're spotted. He eats a couple shots, one in the side, one in the face, blah, blah, blah. And this is fairly standard for Himmel's Provincedorf, right? You got guys up on the ledges taking sniper shots, some people pushing, trying to light them, maybe even get some shots on them over there. Already raining down. We do have 2 already on each side. These guys will become important to the game. Faux show on this one. And what's going to happen here is we get a little bit of a stalemate. So the initial people rushing across, guys dying here and there, and our hero, Dan Force's Clan Panic, he is not going to panic, although his side is going to fall. He notices things are not going so good, so well over here, and he shifts. There's a lot of tanks, right? We've got a bunch of the 7s. We've got the VZ, we've got the T29, we have, it's not a 7, but the Tiger 131, the Super Chaffee, lots of guys pushing, and we're losing over here on this flank. Now, one thing to think about on this map, guys, and I contemplated it as I was watching this game. I think he actually goes to his gold. There you go. That was a good idea. He's going to end up with a lot of damage. Some of it's not going to show because some of his blind shots are going to go in. And he does actually ace it on this. One thing to think about on this map, I'll get to that in a minute. I have rarely seen so many people use the in-game, orders and fall back and stuff and respond to it as much as I see in this game. It's pretty funny. Watch this. Affirmative. Oh man, so withdraw, affirmative. I mean, there's some serious conversation going on here. This is pretty good. Back to what I was trying to talk about before I interrupted myself several times. We are losing this flank wholesale. It is our spawn flank, but I see people hang out in these bushes and die for no real good reason. Why is that? Well, the cap's down here. So his team is all up in the northwest. There's no sense in hanging up there in the northeast. I mean, you could get some spotting damage potentially, but usually guys can push across, and it's hard enough shots long range that maybe you don't last very long. And they sent a lot of beef over there, so why hang out there? No sense. He's going to move over here, react to the other side where his team is. This is a really important concept in World of Tanks. Things start going bad, and you're out and unafraid, go find some friends. A little bit of synergy, a little bit of focus fire, helping each other out, all good. Pretty good spot right here. He can do a couple things from this position. He can obviously shoot the guys across there. Does want to be careful about being spotted. He doesn't get spotted, though, kind of strange. BZ learns that lesson, though, about being spotted. Those guys clearly don't have enough spotting range to see him, view range, so poor VZ44 is getting hammered. It's unfortunate that he actually gets away. We switch over to the T29. I think I might have tried to finish out the VZ right there, my friend, because he ends up living. But we do put a couple good hits into the T29. He gets thumped several times. The Tiger shows up. He's trying to get away. This may go in as well based on where the 131 was. And that's exactly what they wanted to do, right? They wanted the other team to get a little bit over-aggressive, push out in the open thinking like, hey, we want to flank. Let's start the steamroll. Let's find these guys and kill them, but they'd all run away. Most of them were already over there. A couple of them run away over to here. They've contracted their lines, and they punish the enemy team for getting spotted. And unfortunately for our hero, for Danforth here, who was not panicking, he did not get spotted with all those shots. A little bit surprised, to be quite honest, but it is tier 6 and 7. Crews could be not great. They are heavy tanks. They don't have great spotting to begin with. So there you have it. And now we get into a bit of some more blind shooting. I would be very careful at this point. This is a ammo amount right here where I would start getting concerned about maybe running out, depending on how much shooting I might want to do later. So he shoots a couple into the bushes, doesn't get any kills, but may have done some damage. Switches back over to the regular ammo. I think that's a good idea. And now we get into a little bit of cat and mouse. We do have a couple already on each side. We have 3 tanks on each side. So we have swapped sides, essentially. The green team's on the purple spawn side, and the purple team is on the green spawn side. But will that remain? Probably because I'm asking the question. Not exactly. We get a couple moves here. Somebody says it a little while later in chat. They say the word patience, and this is really a bit of a patience time, especially if you're sitting with a T20 Challenger and T78 against 3 heavies. You should have a decent ability to outspot them, especially with this T78. He's got max spotting, and he's running optics. So that's very nice. It's one of the reasons he has max spotting. He may even have a little extra burn through, depending on what his total is. I like the T20. He makes a good decision to go see if he can track down the Artie, and he kind of scares the 304 out. He makes a bad decision immediately after that by continuing to kind of push over. I think he's on the edge. Yeah, he's going around the edge of the map, so that's a good decision. There are some bushes he's going to peek in there, but unfortunately he gets a little bit greedy here in just a moment and gets nuked. So he probably was seen by the 304, seeing as the 304 was making a runner. He lights the M44, and that's a huge opportunity right here to get rid of one of the Artie. Get a nice aim in. The Artie doesn't seem aware he's not moving. We thump him. I think the T20, yeah, the T20 shot him, but I don't think he was far enough back. He's kind of doing a rocking back. Does he survive that? He does, so he doesn't take a shot. So that all worked out. And now he kind of goes out in the open. It looks like he wants to go kill the 304. And that's just bad. Bad idea. He surfs that edge right there, and he's about to get nuked. He's like, oh, maybe I'll get away. Nope, got tracks, trying to move. Boom. All right. A little bit of information was garnered from that whole action right there. There are a couple guys on the other side. So they haven't pushed up to this side yet. Obviously, the T20 went through all that area. Look where the green 304 went. He's not hanging out on the other side in the spawn. In fact, he's going back behind as many of his tanks as he can. The T20 and the T78 have proved nobody's coming up that ramp yet. Not at the moment, anyway. Although the 304 is down in the middle. Something to also, in addition to think about right here, is when you're on these edges, is people trolling the bottom edge where the 304 is. And I don't know on this map, somebody could probably let me know and knows this, but there are It's actually a distance, so slant range matters as well. There are places where you can actually be above somebody in this game with at a high enough altitude and not proxy light them, because I think it's a bubble, basically. The carrier comes to mind on whatever that one is with the big frozen carrier. If you're way up on the top and someone's directly below you, you don't necessarily proxy light them just because your circles are over top of each other, because it's basically a bubble. Howsoever, just be careful, especially if you start going down this ramp. I do know that if you're on this ramp, that is close enough. So if you come off this hill and go down on this ramp and somebody comes along the edge here, you will get proxy lit. Just be aware, and that may be what the 304 is kind of trying to do, is maybe seeing if he can light one of these guys hanging out in a bush here. You got 3 seconds, all of a sudden you got 3 heavies blapping shots across the Valley of Doom right there. You got some calm going on. There's the patience, Jeb. By the way, thank you, Jeb, for sending this in. He's the one who got the guy to, or found the link, had the guy upload it so we could take a look at it. Jeb is in the Challenger, having a good game himself, and has been, or is now right over there in the Northwest, looking that way. Time becomes a factor. We talk about that a lot. We're at 5 minutes, a little under 6 minutes, actually. So right now we can still be patient, but at some point, if you want to win the game and the enemy team hasn't made any mistakes or isn't pushing, you're going to have to try to do something. You're either going to take a draw or you're going to have to try to do something. It's a pixel tank game. I recommend eventually you try to do something and win the game. Now do it smart. You know, we should outview these guys. We have some pretty good dang mobility with both the T78 and the Challenger, and then the 304 is found over there. Unknown if maybe he was trying to jump on the cap or just looking for spotting. Interesting decision. I don't know how much ammo they have. Maybe he's out of ammo. I don't know if I've ever heard of a 304 running out of ammo, but possibly. Or maybe he's just the scout because he's got enough mobility. Don't know, but in any event, he's tucked up underneath there, and that's kind of good news because it's going to be hard for him to really hit anybody from there. He could do it. It's got good arc, but it's not the best spot for a 304 tucked up under the hill there to hit guys up on top. There's a carefully might proxy spot you. That's true. So Danforth, again, not panicking, still working it, a little bit back and forth, kind of looking around. His 304, the green 304, is taking stabs at the one that's down there. Probably the last known position. And this gets kind of interesting. So we come over here. Dan's going to look for a spot right here. He's very careful not to knock trees down. I think that's really smart. He's going to come right here, and he's like, all right, is that guy going to try to come up the ramp? Maybe he moves up the ramp trying to proxy light. That's what I would sort of suspect he was doing, but this gets really kind of funny right here. Remember, the 304 has pretty good mobility, relatively fast once it gets up and going. So just wait for it. In a second here, it's going to show up. I'll go to 2 times speed real quick. Patience, patience. Now think about time, think about all that kind of stuff, and here's the 304. So the 304 shows up an old light like you had there where the 304 used to be. You get a couple minutes away from that, he could be anywhere. So he's come all the way south, up the hill, and across over here looking for spots, and he gets some lights. Dan takes the shot, and he hides behind the only cover he's got. You'll see a couple shots come in here in just a moment. It's a nice kill. Unfortunately, the 304 did not get anything out of it. There's one shot. He does some rocking back and forth, moves. I think he might have moved a little early because someone else takes a stab at him. I think they saw him moving, but they both missed. There's the 131 making the mistake I talked about. There was enough view range on the Challenger that he was seen, and down he goes. And now we're at 3 minutes, so this is definitely time crunch part of the game. And we have an advantage. So why not, especially at this point, why not go try to find these guys? Somebody said the T29 is a one-shot. The CS44 is close to a one-shot. We have some hit points to give. Jeb's got 460, but we got 670 on Danforth, and even the 304 is getting in on it. Now, I like that. He's moving back over here because why hang out down the south where nobody is, especially if the enemy team decides they want to come down that way or up that way. The 304 just got up the hill, so maybe he's being followed by one of the heavies. So I like that move by the 304. He gets up into this other corner, about as far away as he can with as many of his buddies in between him and them. And he'll just try to provide the old fire support clicking action. Sort of expected Dan to get shot at right here, but it doesn't appear that anybody is hanging out. Clearly not, otherwise he would have taken a hit. And he's kind of hoping that maybe they do shoot and they're exposed, and the Challenger can thump them along with 2 artillery. There's an artillery shot going in. I don't really know why that was taken, but maybe they saw something get knocked down or just took a stab. If it's the 304, he'll probably be reloaded by the time Dan gets up and over the top. Now this is crazy right here. So he comes up, sort of expected to get shot. Didn't happen. No spot. Doesn't get lit. So remember, Sixth Sense is a de facto spotting mechanism here. Moves around to the back. We're at 1 minute 35 seconds. And we got to track down 2 heavies, and who knows where the heck these guys are. Problem is, if they're in behind all these buildings, then all of our sniperinos over there are probably not in a great position to shoot. And Jeb did a nice job of hanging out there and looking for shots, but the enemy team did not oblige, and there were no shots. And now he's sort of stuck, right? He doesn't really have time to come across the whole map, so he's moving along with Dan to try to get at the same kind of angle, keep himself in with a shot. He's still moving. And this is crazy right here. So we come around this corner, like, where are these guys? And I kind of expected one of them, to, at least by now, to have been spotted. I'm like, what is going on here? What are these dudes doing? Oh, look, the 304 found the T29. So the T29, my friends, after all of that, the T29 was actually down on this ramp, hanging out, looking this way from the ramp. So he came up and actually found the 304. That's very useful, though. You know, the 304 died, but he found the T29. Dan's being careful. The guy doesn't quite move out. He just kind of sneaks around, and nice shot right in the back of the turret. And he's moving around going, all right, where is the CS? Why is he going to pop out and shoot me? Then I'll know where he is. Where is this guy? And I don't know what Sixth Sense. Somebody clicked right there. The M44, somebody clicked right there. So maybe he went off that, or he went, well, whatever. I've come across this whole area. So there's no real reason to go back the way he came, unless the CS-44 is on the ramp. So that's one problem. But he says, you know what, most likely spot, I feel like maybe this team is going for a draw, right? The enemy team's going for a draw. So maybe he's hiding around this corner. And we have 10 seconds, my friends, down to the wire. We have a goal. Oh, there he is. Proxy light. He's going to look at us. He shoots us. We don't care. We shoot him. And down he goes. So we're over 2,000 damage, 2,396 assist, and a great little chess match at the end. Nicely played by Dan Force, by Jeb, too. There was one other tank, I think Fergalicious, the IS-2M, or maybe the T-29. One of the other guys had another good game as well. Nice little team game there. Lots of communication, lots of working together. You like to see that. You don't always see it, and they don't always go this long, but a real even game there, and just started to pick them apart with some real good gameplay. Thanks for sending that replay in, Jeb. Appreciate it. Dan Force, good game. Nicely done, my friend. That's all I've got for today. We will see you.